Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So really glad to be part of this event, HR World, right? So this is something, one of the key aspect today for everyone, for especially in the HR area. Like, we are building the communities and growing, learning from each other. And I think it's really glad to be part of the chairperson of this. Again, I would say it's a more community because we will learn from each other, we will engage, we will build network. So this is definitely, I will consider the leading HR transformation summit. And the major theme of this summit is the revisiting workforce strategy to build for the future. This is very much actually linked to also our current situations where everyone is facing our pandemic, right? So it's changing a lot the way we work, the way the HR work, for employees, for managers, for everyone across the whole industry. And also we have seen like the huge transformation going around the HR world, also from the technology side. We have seen like analytics, AI, and a lot of other technologies to also part of this, right? So this today we have an agenda which is full pack of very interesting topics. I will start with my keynote, which is on the success, how we can make a successful digital HR transformation. So based on my experience, I'm based in Germany. I'm living outside India for more than 14 years, working for more than 18 years in this area of HR technology and digital HR. So I think I can bring some aspect from different, from around the world. We have also very good panels in place, like I will introduce one by one, but we have a lot of interesting panels focusing on employee work ecosystem, digital human resource, the road ahead with the learning and development, and also a keynote from on the well-being, skilling and re-strategizing on your way of working of life. So these are some of the new, some of the part of the agenda today, and we will go ahead with each of them. There is also opportunity for the question answer for each panels and also for the keynote. So you can chat your question, you can put your question on the chat which you can see. And we will cover up also all the questions, try to cover up all the questions once the panel is come to end. So this is my part to start with. And we can definitely move to the next one, where I will also bring some aspect of how this digital HR and the transformation is changing and coming up for interesting things around the world for the HR and also for the employees, everyone in the workforce today. So Moza, can we switch to the next session? So let me start directly with the pandemic is definitely currently hitting us, and maybe we will face in future more crisis and more challenging situation because the world is changing at very, very fast rates, right? So with the technologies, with evolving jobs, roles, use of AI and machines coming to the picture. So I think if we think about the digital age, which is led by Industry 4.0, it's definitely a big challenge, and also like it's very fast. So how we can cope up with this fast change, how we can deal with that's definitely one of the major challenge for all of us. And on that basis, if you see like most of the organizations are today going through transformation, right? Especially focusing on digital transformation, right? And but we also see like there are certain challenges, and this is very recent by the Gartner, just beginning of the COVID. Like what are the major challenges what we're facing by going with the digital transformation for around the organizations, right? And one of the biggest one, which we also notice, I think I face it on a regular basis when I deal with working with large and mid-sized corporations. It's like most of the organizations don't have a clear, consistent strategy for digital transformation. So one thing is the planning, definitely. So any project and program to start with, we need to start with the planning for sure, which is going for this project and programs. But if we need to have a consistent strategy or a clear strategy or a big picture, for how we're going up with the short term, mid term, long term, and how we can change it also based on the situation like crisis like pandemic. This is definitely we are not used to, right? And that's how like most organizations facing challenge. Like if we ask, like I asked actually in one of like my last big session around in Europe and one of the event a few months back, what is your digital HR strategy? Specifically put for the HR world. I haven't seen like I think I receive only 10% of the organizations actually have the robust strategy in place. The next two are also very important, and this is also not new. Like one of this is not we don't have enough talent for digital director transformation. So we are when you're asking for the talent, this is not the talent equipped with digital skills, but also we have to think like the talents are the people we need for the huge transformation of the change management. Leading the transformation, because we need also like specific leadership skills who have like more innovative and experimenting mindset with the growth mindset, which we can think of bring innovation into this digital from the digital world, how we can survive, how we can thrive in this fast changing world. So this is something we have to take care. Like there are definitely a lot of different skill set for the talent we need for that. And the third one is definitely, as I mentioned, like our leadership is not equipped with digital transformation. So this is, as I mentioned, from Gartner, and then Gartner has actually taken this with top CHROs and CXOs from the big organizations and mid-sized organizations. This is something which is definitely a concern for us. But actually, if we think in a good way, like think in an opportunities way, I think we should have to work in this to really drive the transformation part. Next one, I'm moving to the very our area, like when we talk about the HR area, like where is digital HR, right? So this is a very interesting topic for me. Like being, as I mentioned, like being working with several years with several companies across several geographies around the world, like in all of the continents, most of the world. I see like there are different aspects, different perspective of digital HR, different thinking, because we also see like there are a lot of different companies and startups coming up with new technological landscape. Like we have companies are buying digital solutions. They want to invest in digital solutions. That's very good. But when I want to enforce you here, like what is digital HR, and what I understand also from based on the feedback and even my experience with driving transformation. So I think digital HR is not only to just digitalize your current process or buying digital solution. This is definitely a part of it, but this is definitely not the actual one. So when you think from digital HR from a broader sense, right? So because when you think about how we can sustain, especially sustaining in times of like things like crisis or in pandemic, we really have to be ready with our organization in a bigger aspect, right? And so first of all, I think the most important part is we have to understand how these digital technologies can actually resolve our challenges, right? And the challenges also vary, right? So I'm sure like in pandemic, now our major challenges for organizations definitely change a lot from last year or a few years back. Yes, so I think it's very important to focus on the business challenges and how we can create opportunities for the digital solutions, right? So we have seen like, I can give very good examples. Now we can see like a lot of focus, or we are focusing on remote working, the productivity, collaborations, healthcare, health and safety, right? So a lot of organizations, I think all the organizations are almost putting efforts on trying to achieve on that part. So this is very good example, like based on the situation, based on the business cases, we have to focus on our digital technologies, right? And we have to think like how we can equip with our changing strategies on that part. And on this aspect, there is very also important part is when it's point 2, which is like rethinking organization in a complete different way. That's very important. So change management is a very, very important part. Being part of several change management initiatives, I saw like this is the most trickiest and most challenging part for every organization, if you agree or not. But this is something not changing on only based on your digital solution, but also changing in respect to your culture. Changing in terms of your business results and grow, because it's very important what your business wants, right? So we have to focus on the business. We have to see like how your business can thrive, because we have seen also like in this pandemic, like a lot of business are falling down like a cupcake. So this is definitely a big challenge. So this is very important, like how we can really transform the organizations in a cultural way, so which can impact business in a positive way, and we can use digital to empower all those things. The third part is links with the workforce, and it's about like how we can emphasize human-centric experience, collaborations, new way of work of workforce, right? So this is important. Again, if you see a good example for the pandemic, like we are focusing on the remote working, so we are focused, companies are start focusing on that. I remember like last year, even still last year, like when we are talking about this with organizations in many events and other collaborative and engagement part, like a lot of organizations say, okay, no, we don't are ready for that. We are not going in that part. We are still long way to go. But I think this pandemic has really enforced and forcefully actually bringing all organizations to move in around this path, right? So, and that's something which I have seen, and with many other leaders and thought leaders and influencers, like in this topic, like this is something going to come, and this pandemic is helping us, to catalyze this into better options. The fourth one, which is obvious, which we actually start with, process excellence. We tool with the process, how we can improve your workflows, how we can optimize your process. This is something we always start with. This is the major focus. But I think this comes at the end when we start thinking about digital strategies. But this is definitely the beginning to start with, right? And this is very important for us when we think about the digital HR perspective. Now move to a very new interesting sections based on the study research with several universities, some consulting firms and other. So this is something I also put in my book. I will explain you later. Like how is the digital HR innovation curve arrived for the last many years? And this is actually for maybe more than decades. So, if you see from the beginning, like in the beginning of the time, like I think we are more focusing when HR is innovating, we are focusing on like benchmarking, health and safety, employee assistance, psychometric ways, and we start assessment, like a lot of organizations are putting efforts on assessment of different aspect of the HR functions. And then comes the employee engagement, which is still many organizations for them is new, but is already we have seen this coming up from many years. Employee engagement, learning and developments, like how we can increase career development, collaboration, onboarding. This is something which we have seen that. So a lot of things has been also increased last few years, and also like definitely catalyzed by the pandemic is the flexible working and remote working, right? Flexible working, when we say, like, it's definitely include remote working from anywhere. Also, like now we don't need to come from a big cities to a small, from a smaller town to a big cities, or a small country to big countries. People can work from anywhere. So this is also part of gig economy, which we are also coming up into place for the last many years. So we have seen this enforcing. Performance management have taken a huge change for ways we used to work before to today, right? So it's very much now integrated into systems, into the process of others. We have seen from the compensation benefits, competencies are going around. So when we see around, you can see that differentiate with the colors, right? So we have moving from the accountability, from the productivity and engagement, and focusing more on employee experience, right? So this is, I think, many organizations focus how we can bring a really good experience for the employees, because that's a huge aspect in taking employee to the employee retentions, and the best hiring, also creating your employment brand and other things. So employee experience is definitely one of the major aspects today, right? Most of the organizations focusing. And also, like, if you think, like, this is definitely empowered with the data analytics, like analytics plays a big role today, right? I am one of the earliest one to focusing on analytics. I think I started like 8 years back in my company, and I see like that was a very I will still say old age, not very much, but in that stage, I think we haven't seen too many organizations are focusing on analytics in a very robust way. But today, if I see from last 7-8 years, it's improved a lot, right? So every organizations have their analytics team in picture, whether in center of excellence, whether reporting to CHROs and others. So there's always a question like, how we deal with analytics team and how we build up this operating model for analytics. That's a different, totally different topic. But we have seen like putting analytics, data-driven analytics into a lot of different aspects. Like we have, whether your HRS system, like any big or small, or even your any solution today, like even employee engagement, you buy a solution for employee engagement, or even today for the health and safety, flexible working, every single solutions today provide you some sort of analytics. Maybe in maturity level is very small, but maybe you're getting some insight. The target of this insight is to get how we can make better decision with those insights. So we are using, and when we grow up in the maturity, it's also lead to like more like predictions, prescriptive analytics and others. So I don't want to go on technical part, but we have seen like analytics a big role in employee engagement, experience, in use of analytics in the well-being, diversities, pulse surveys, right? It's now part of many organizations, which is also like growing a lot. Still, I haven't seen too much on the culture surveys. Like we can also start serving on how we can impact with the culture, but there are a few companies which is also driving that. The last part is about the technologies which we are very much interested. We have also one panel on this today, like AI and augmentation. So like hiring, chatbots, coach boards, how AI is really augmenting this HR. And there are a lot of interesting topics. We will have a topic on that as well. Another very interesting one is the blockchain. I involve a lot on this, how we can impact that, but it's very few and very early a stage. But that's how this innovation curve looks like today, digital innovation curves. And if you see from the pandemic, a lot of things are also like also coming in a circular way. Like we can see like here today, the health and safety is again coming into picture when we talk about the pandemic, right? Psychometrics, like how employee giving the stress on working from home, isolated. So a lot of things are also repeating from, it's not like something is obsoleting. So we have to think about that, like innovation never obsoletes. It's actually emerged into a new form, right? So we can again see like accountability things like health and safety, psychometric, employee assistant today come into very important role in like today's pandemic situation. So this is how the innovations curve coming up, and very important for us to know. So we have challenges, like we have seen different innovation coming into picture. We have seen different technologies coming into picture. We are challenged with leaderships, challenged with strategy. So there is definitely, the world is complex, and with pandemic it's more complex. So it's very important to see like how we can achieve a sustainable digital transformation, right? So that's very important for us. And that's how like actually I spend a lot of years in this to achieve. Like transformation is definitely a good, interesting part for every organization today, but we have to make a transformation in a way it can be sustainable for future. So we have to be ready for any situation like this. So I try to put something in my book, and I will explore you like to see like how it can match also fit with our pandemic part. So first of all, like as I mentioned, like to create a sustainable transformation, we really need a very good strategy in place. So we need to definitely assessment for our readiness, where a company is today, organization is today, which type of maturity level they are, like on how much you have the skill set to drive, you have the leadership to drive or not, you have a strategy today or not. Or what's your culture, like where your culture is going to ready for this transformation. So that's very important question, and I will ask the first thing there, like does it make sense for your business? Are your business ready to transform, or where your business like to go? So these are very basic questions, and there are a lot like this, so I'm asking, but this is something very beginning things to start with any transformation. I think like a lot of you have also experienced if you're working with the transformation project. But a very important aspect, which I always mention, like to have the roadmap and digital strategy in place, which is the biggest bottleneck for many organizations for the transformation, especially when we think about the sustainability, because transformation is not a project, it's a journey. So once you finish one project, you will start with another one. So it's a journey, and you have to phase it. And then you have to have your roadmap ready. Okay, like next year we will target this, and you will also should be ready for any situation like crisis. Like you're planning. Maybe we have it all totally different plan for 2020, but now due to pandemic, every organization have a new plan today on a new roadmap for their transformation. And that's obvious with this type of crisis or anything happen in future. So how your organization should be flexible enough, to be sustainable, and that's why like I bring it very three phases I try to define. So one is the revolution phase, which I call. And revolution phase have like journey blocks, like focusing on your value, your purpose, right? You understand your business, where your business want to go, understand build your strategy, ready for the culture change, see where culture is that, bring your digital mindset, right? So mindsets are very important part. Understand like what's the biggest impact with you with Industry 4.0, and then understand your work modules, your operating model. So a lot of organizations are changing their operating models based on their journeys and transformation. What is important for your functional efficiency, and then use of the data, build up also the governance of the plan, how you going to use the data for this driving that. So this is something that I think I call this revolution. So something to start, so to something for the change, something for the good, for the future. And if I see like most of the organizations, we are at this stage, somewhere, maybe it's also a journey like this phase, but we are in somewhere, but everyone has aware of now, like a lot of awareness happened in the last many years. And we are at some stage, some of them a little bit mature, some of them not, but we understand this in most of them. I think we have to bring this part, to start something to revolutionize for our future. The next phase, which I say, I also mentioned in my book, is the survival phase. And that's the interesting phase, because I think with the pandemic, this is the phase which we are driving. Like before the pandemic, I have seen many organizations are still with their the revolution phase, that they are still going to forward for the next one. They don't know where to go. What is the next part? Where to go that? And this pandemic has actually helped us and actually give us opportunity, give the opportunity to the organizations to move to the next phase. And that's what I already mentioned in my phase journey, to bring the human-centric experience, like changing of the jobs, works due to augmentations, reskilling, right? Agile work, right? Flexible work on that part, gig economy, like people working from home, using of the wellness, well-being of the for the workforce, workplaces, like digital workplaces are now become one of the key remote working, right? For every organizations. As I mentioned last time also, when I talk about this in 1 or 2 years back, still I see a very not very happy approach to accept this. But today, I think every organizations is accepting this in a forceful way, because this crisis has put us there. And this is the survival phase. We have to not only start doing things, we have to survive also with this crisis, pandemic, and also survive for the future, because we are really trying to augmenting here the HR with the use, and AI is coming up, the intelligence system is coming up also in every part of the business functions. Any business function you take, there are a lot of investment and change going around with the automations, with the augmentations. And this is something not about the battle between human and machines. It is something how we can collaborate and work together with machines. This is something we have to phase at, right? So changing our work, changing our workforce environment, changing our workplace environment. This is something we should survive. And I think a lot of organizations are moving into this phase. And pandemic is a very good catalyst. And this is a good opportunity I can see always to moving around, because this is something now we are clear, okay, we have to build for our future, right? Next phase is the one which is the difficult one for sure, which I say if you really want to be sustainable transformation, that's the phase you have to reach out, to create a very good environment for you, yourself, for individuals, for organizations, also for a society. Because that's what we want to have, right? To a good sustainability. And then this need a lot of efforts, and there are a lot of good initiatives also have been done for a few organizations. There are good examples I know, because I've done multiple research on this. I also have another book on sustainable organizations on that, which I write 3 years back. And I've seen many organizations have different challenges. And the challenges is definitely start with your very too common challenge, which is bureaucracy and working in silo, right? So we all aware. So how we change that, and also being a global company is not easy. When you have different cultures, different people, a different way of working in different regions. So working on, so also for the global companies, I've seen this is challenge, culture in Asia and Europe and Americas are totally different. Middle East and Africa is again totally different. So also when you're building up the global company, moving around, try to expand, explore your gain with the new markets is definitely different. So organizations have to transform, right? So this is where new organizations design is coming into part, where organizations, new models coming into pictures, more responsive, how organizations can create innovation culture. So we have seen most of the today's sustainable organizations are those who are more innovative. And we know all those names, who are the top organizations today, also in the Fortune 500, like all leading by the tech companies, because they are innovative and they're not only with their tech solution, but also in their culture, they are working. So I know like a lot of people like to work with Google, Microsoft, and other. Why? Because they have this culture of innovation. And this is something which is also inspire other companies as well, right? So we're changing in also the leadership, diversities. So again, a lot of companies are also seen like focusing on the societies, like how we can also UN sustainable development programs, like how we can enforce like things like we can help societies, building ecosystems, network, communities. Like we are part of community today, right? And how it can help. So this is something we are already doing it in very smaller scale, but this is something the future we have to reach that stage. And once we reach that stage, then any pandemic crisis can really don't bother us, because we will be flexible enough, we'll be responsive enough, to take actions and then immediately change our model and can sustain there. And a lot of organizations already learning this in this pandemic, right? Even in this pandemic, they're creating new opportunities and trying to sustain in this world. Some organizations cannot. So that's why like we need that culture to really be sustainable enough for that one. So all this also create your major question, like when you really think of your digital transformation and your strategy, you really have to think all this aspect, find out the risk and opportunity to does it, how for your workforce, for your organizations, how it can impact. Because this is not only have a digital solution. Even we are working for remote working. I've seen a lot of organizations focusing on digital workplaces, remote working. Don't focus on that topic. Like think also like how it can be sustainable for future. It's a good start, definitely, but also think in a broader way. So that's how like I experienced, as I mentioned, like and I try to also explore a lot of things in my book, which has been really liked by many people's influencer and top leaders. So if you're interested, you can always explore that. It's always there, available anywhere. Like you can just Google it. You can find it in Amazon and other places. This is what I want to explore in all these phases, like how we can create all those phases. What are the approaches? What are the strategies? What are the aspects you have to deal with? So I try to put it down with this book, with my experience, and also linking to the writing and speaking for several years now. So if you're interested, definitely you can go ahead. And this is come to end of my session actually. And if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer. So I can see one question there by Vaidey Thakur. Like I want to add something that work from home has provided ease of working from any places. But on some part, it also has disadvantage which could be ignored in long term. For example, extra long working hours and much more. Exactly. So that's the challenge. Like every aspect is actually creating opportunity and also challenge for us, right? So so work from home, when you say like it's now remote working is have an advantage for the organizations, but also creating challenge because our working hours have been like prolonged, like higher now. Like it's even for me, like I even don't count when is my finish time. So I'm continuously working. Same for I think everyone, right? So we don't have a fixed time there. We don't have any rules for our working hours working from home because we are not used to, many of us. And this is something also creating challenge also with the productivity, also the well-being and the stress creating in the employees, also like we are doing in isolated way, in our own way. So this is something also very important point. A lot of organizations are focusing. There are good analytics and insights coming into picture to see what are the different types of stress and burnouts could be happening to employees. This is something very important, and we have to take care about it. Like, it's not only about the changing, as I mentioned, like just focusing on remote working is not only about the buying solutions. Also, you have to think how can impact organizations and workforce in a different way, and we have to find solution for each of them.